Son, pay attention. That word, it's not for everyone. She was released from heaven exclusively for today, and if you ignore them, you may not get another chance for a long time. There are promises that have been hovering over your life for years, just waiting for you to make a move. And now, at this very moment, heaven has decided to activate its harvest clock. But listen well. If you close your ears to what I am going to reveal to you, you can wait another 7 years to see what is ready to be yours. This is not an exaggeration. It is spiritual time of a rare window that opens before you, and that will soon close. The choice you make after hearing this message will echo in the coming years of your life. I just ask that you stay until the end, because this word carries a prophetic weight that can change everything. But before I continue, I need to remind you of something that few people realize, and that is blocking the miracle for many people. But before I continue, I need to remind you of something few realize, and which is blocking many people's miracles. Often it's in a simple act of obedience that heaven finds space to act. If this message has touched something deep inside you, if you felt it wasn't by chance that you got here, then walk with me to the end. And if it makes sense, subscribe to the channel and leave a like, not for my sake, but as a sign of faith, as if to say, Lord, I receive, and I am ready to experience the new. Son, I saw it. I saw you kneel down, powerless, even without understanding why the answer hadn't yet arrived. I watched every night you tried to sleep, but your soul remained awake, torn between faith and exhaustion. You held back tears so as not to worry anyone, hid your anguish behind a weary smile, and kept walking even when everything inside you told you to stop. You waited. You waited without complaint, even when it seemed everyone around you was moving forward, and only you were trapped in a timeless cycle, in a cycle that never broke. And while many forgot you, I never stopped watching you. I know the feeling you carry in your chest, that weight that has no name, that mixture of frustration and hope that accompanies you every day. You asked me for a word. You begged me for a sign. You questioned me silently with a heavy heart if I was truly still listening. And even without visible answers, you remained. And I want you to know that your wait was not in vain. Even when you thought nothing was happening, I was. Setting the scene that your eyes couldn't yet see. There are times when I'm silent, not because I have given up on you, but because I am realigning the path you will follow. Sometimes the blessing you ask for is ready, but the road to it still needs to be cleared. I saw you when you thought about giving up. I saw you when you thought you weren't worthy, that perhaps you had done something wrong, that perhaps the promise was meant for someone else. But it isn't. This promise is yours. And the due waiting time is ending. You have not been forgotten. I am not silent because I have rejected you. I am silent because the revelation to come will demand from you a faith that no longer depends on sensations, but on conviction. You are about to experience something that only those who have waited with a faithful heart can understand. Your pain, your waiting, your faithfulness, all of this is being counted as a memorial before me. And what you cannot imagine is that many who seem to be ahead will be overtaken by you when I open the right door. Now listen carefully, because there's something I need to explain to you. Something you may have never understood before, and that could completely change the way you view this time of silence you've endured so far. It's something the enemy doesn't want you to discover, because once you understand, you'll regain the authority that was stolen while you waited. And that's exactly what I'm going to reveal to you now. Hold on tight, because what comes next will make you see your time of waiting with completely new spiritual eyes. Have you been feeling a tiredness that won't go away even when you're asleep? An emptiness that nothing can fill? If this speaks to you, comment here. I'm feeling this. Maybe it's more spiritual than you think. You didn't click on this video by chance. This isn't a mere coincidence or just another piece of content that popped up on your screen. I led you here because there are things I've been trying to tell you. But the rush of life, the noise of anxiety, the confusion of thoughts, and the excess of distractions were drowning out my voice within you. So today I created a space just for you, a space where you could hear me without interference, without noise, without fear of making mistakes, because this word is exclusively for you, not for the crowd, not for those who glance and leave, but for the one who's thirsty, the one who still asks me with sincerity in his heart. Father, what do you want from me? I know your name, I know your story. I know exactly what you've been through these past few months, and I also know the prayers you've never spoken to anyone. And that's why this message was released today. Because you've been feeling forgotten, comparing yourself to others, thinking that perhaps your faith isn't enough, that perhaps you've missed the right time or failed too much for me to still want to bless you. But what you need to understand now, with absolute certainty within your soul, is that you are still within the time of the promise. You are still part of the plan. Nothing was lost, just postponed until you were ready. You know that feeling that everything has gone wrong, that you've already passed the point, that opportunities will never come again. Well, listen carefully. You're not late. You're being repositioned, and this restoration is not punishment, it is mercy. I took you away from paths that seemed right to you, but that would have killed your dreams and wounded you deeply. And even if you don't yet understand the reason for certain losses, there is something in you that I protected, and that is precisely what brought you to this word. So doubt no more. Don't question whether I still speak to you. I do speak, yes, and I'm speaking now. And what I will reveal to you next is what was behind all this silence, and why today was marked in the heavens for a spiritual turning point that will accelerate everything that seemed stuck until now. Be honest with me. Have you also been struggling in silence, pretending everything is fine while carrying the world on your shoulders? If this has been your routine, comment here. This fight is mine too, because you are not the only one. And today, heaven saw you. Now listen with an open heart, because what I'm about to reveal to you requires inner silence, spiritual sensitivity, and a decision of faith. Something is happening right now, not in human clock time, but in prophetic time in the divine calendar that operates beyond what your natural eyes can perceive. What to you seems like just another ordinary day? For me, it is a day marked since before you were born, a specific rare season, laden with promises that were held, not denied, but sealed until the right time arrived. And today, that time has come. You are standing before a spiritual portal. And when I say portal, I'm not referring to a mystical or symbolic image. I'm talking about a prophetic rift, opened in the heavens, a direct connection between what I have planned above and what is ready to manifest in your life here below. This kind of portal doesn't open every day. It's like rain in the desert, like the year of Jubilee, like that rare time when heaven meets earth and everything changes from one moment to the next. And the truth is, many will pass through this day without realizing what was available. They will continue with their routine, with their distractions, with life's autopilot, and they won't notice that they passed right through the door they so desperately asked me to open. But you're not. You're here. You're listening. You're paying attention. And that already puts you in a different place. Because whoever discerns the prophetic time accelerates the fulfillment of the promise. What I have prepared is not small, not superficial, not trivial. It involves healing, reconciliation, replenishment, restitution, and advancement. These are blessings that were dammed up, blocked by spiritual resistance, sabotaged by past decisions, frozen by your insecurity and fear of action. But what is being released now is a collective release of favor for those who listen, believe, and act. I'm not forcing you. What I'm doing is warning you, because many don't receive it due to lack of warning. But you can't say you weren't warned. And more important than what I've prepared to give you is the time that will close if you don't take a stand. Because this kind of portal doesn't wait for the undecided. It doesn't stay open indefinitely. And it isn't activated by doubt. It responds to faith, to readiness, to the movement of the heart that says, I won't let it pass. So I'm calling you to discern the moment. You've been praying for change. You've been crying out for acceleration. You've been asking for signs. Well, here's one. A clear sign that the promise is ripe, the time is free, and heaven is calling your name. The only question that needs to be asked now is, will you enter or will you postpone once again? And if you're ever afraid, know that I didn't bring you here to shame you. I brought you here to remind you that you still have access, still have value, still have an inheritance, and that the promise that seemed dormant will awaken along with your faith. But it's today, and only today. If you ignore it, the window closes, and the next cycle could take a long 7 years. But before you make any decision, listen to what I have to say, with my voice, with my authority. Because now I am the one who will speak directly to you. I am the Lord your God. I am the one who formed you when no one knew you existed. I am the one who saw your first cry, who saw you learn to walk, fall, and get up. I am the one who was with you in your first prayers, even when you still didn't know exactly what to say. I am the one who saw you lose things no one imagined, who watched you smiling on the outside while bleeding on the inside. And even when the world judged you without knowing your struggle, I never stopped calling you by name, because what I saw in you, no one else saw. And now I tell you, the time of your restoration has come. The time has come when what was postponed will finally be activated. The wait was not punishment, it was preparation. And now that the time is ripe, I declare, everything that seemed lost will be repositioned. Everything that was interrupted will be resumed with doubled strength. Years of shame will be replaced by days of honor, and what you thought you would never experience again will be returned with grace, beauty, and peace. I know how you feel. I know you're afraid to create expectations. I know you've been frustrated so many times that learning to wait without feeling pain has become a habit. But I want you to know that I'm not just calling you to believe in something new. I am calling you to believe in me like never before. Because now, it's not just about dreaming, it's about trusting. Trusting that I am good even when I seem silent. Trusting that I am faithful even when everything around me seems to be falling apart. Trusting that what I promised, I will fulfill it for the sake of my name and for the sake of you. You are not a mistake. You are not late. You are not inferior, forgotten, or invisible to me. You are an essential part of what I am doing on earth. You carry something that no other carries. And if I have preserved your life thus far, it is because your existence still carries promises that hell tried to destroy, but failed. They tried to silence you, but I still put words in your mouth. They tried to humiliate you, but I still clothe you with dignity. They tried to make you believe that the best is over, but I guarantee you, the best is yet to come. Don't allow yourself to fall short of the promise any longer. You were called to break through, to grow, to influence, to heal wounds you've already felt firsthand. Your suffering was not in vain. He gave you authority. And now I'm calling you to use all of this, all your pain, all your history, all your faith, as fuel for the new time I'm releasing upon you. Because the season that opens today, it is not common and will not open again anytime soon. I place before you a choice, not a threat, but an opportunity. A chance to say yes, even when afraid. A chance to move, even when blind. Because the portal that has opened upon your life responds to the broken heart, not the perfect heart. I don't need you to be 100%. I just need you to be willing. Because the impossible part is up to me. The part that requires faith is up to you. And if you say to me now, Lord, I welcome your timing, then get ready, because I'm going to start lining up situations that seem dead. I will raise up people who will favor you without even knowing why. I will close doors that seemed good, but would destroy you from within. I will accelerate processes that the enemy tried to delay for months. And I will bring clarity where there was only confusion, because today is the day of response. Today is the day of restitution. Today is the day to unlock destinies. You prayed for a sign. You asked me to speak clearly. Well, here it is. This is my voice. And if you feel, even if it's just a spark within you, that this word is igniting something that was extinguished, then know that it is my spirit bearing witness with yours. And when that happens, there's no arguing. It's received. It's believed. It's acted upon. So don't wait any longer. Don't rationalize. Just receive. Because the promise is real and the time is now. And if you say to me, Lord, I believe, then I will also say to you, Son, get ready, because the next few days will be like no other. Now, son, I want you to understand something that many ignore, but which holds one of the most important secrets about the time of the promise. In Ecclesiastes 3 it is written, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." This is not just a pretty verse, it is an eternal decree. There is a time to weep and there is a time to dance. There is a time to lose, but there is also a specific time to recover. And you are entering that time, the time where what has been denied for so long will be released quickly. But the only way to enter that time is to recognize it. This is what Jerusalem didn't understand. In Luke 19:44, I wept over that city because it didn't recognize the time of its visitation. I, the very Son of God, passed by. I healed, I taught, I loved, but many didn't realize who was standing before them. And because of this, the opportunity passed. The promise was within reach, but spiritual blindness stole the miracle that was already ready. Son, understand this with all your heart. Recognizing the right time is as important as the promise itself. There's no point knowing that I am God if you don't perceive what I'm doing in the present. There's no point having faith for the future if you don't discern the movement of the present. Most of the miracles I released in the Bible were marked not only by people's faith, but by their sensitivity in responding to the moment they were living in. The woman with the issue of blood moved at the right time. Bartimaeus cried out as I passed by. Zacchaeus climbed the tree because he knew it was his only chance to see me up close. None of them knew if there would be a second chance, and yet they acted with everything they had. And now I ask you, will you also recognize the time? Will you realize that the time has come? You will understand that this word is not a content. It is not a random consolation. It is not a positive thought, but a divine summons to align your life with my prophetic clock. Because if you listen to me with your heart, you'll know that what I'm saying here isn't theory. It's an answer. It's direction. It's an invitation. But before I reveal what has prevented many children from entering this time, I want you to prepare yourself, because what comes next will show you why your promise has been held back for so long and what is about to be overcome in the unseen world on your behalf. Son, now I need to tell you something that you may never have clearly understood, but which has been the biggest reason behind so many delays, detours, and silences. You are living in a war, not an ordinary war, where you see the enemy with your eyes and hear the sound of weapons, but an invisible, silent war, and precisely for that reason, extremely dangerous, because what you don't see often has more power to hurt you than what is right in front of you. And this spiritual battle didn't begin today. It has been intensifying for some time, ever since you took your first steps of faith, ever since you dared to believe that you could live all that I promised. There are forces working to tire you emotionally, to confuse you spiritually, to make you believe that waiting for me is a waste of time. These forces, organized in the invisible world, operate with specific tactics. They come not with scares but with subtle distractions, with excessive worries, with anxiety disguised as prudence, with fear disguised as common sense. They infiltrate your most vulnerable thoughts and make you doubt even what has already been confirmed by me. And when this happens, the promise still exists, but your faith begins to lose strength, and a living promise in a tired heart is like a forgotten seed in dry land. It still has potential, but it needs water to flourish. The enemy of your soul knows he can't undo what I've released, so he tries to divert your attention, steal your conviction, and paralyze your movement. And do you know how he does it? By placing the wrong people around you, creating repetitive situations to exhaust you, and whispering thoughts that make you believe you're worthless, that no one sees you, that your time is up. But I, the Lord, am here today to tell you, none of this is true. You are seen. You are remembered. You are still standing because even without realizing it, I've been fighting for you every day. Every dawn you cried without understanding. There was an invisible deliverance. Every time you thought about giving up, something greater held you. And that something was my hand. Even when it seemed like everything was standing still, I was there, stopping evil from advancing beyond what I allowed, and what the enemy tried to use to destroy you will be transformed into the key of your authority, because it is precisely from your pain that your mission will come. It is from your weariness that your testimony will be born. It is from your near end that I am generating a new beginning. So don't think it was in vain. Don't think you wasted time. The war you didn't see, it has already been overcome in many areas, and now all that's missing is your positioning for the last wall to fall. What you need to do right now is not to fight with your own strength, nor to look for shortcuts, nor to try to solve everything logically. What you need to do now is to declare, because there is power in your words when they align with my will, and that's why now I'm going to teach you to speak like a prophet. I'm going to lead you to a declaration that changes atmospheres, that moves the unseen, and that opens doors that once seemed locked forever. Now, son, the time has come for you to take a stand, not just listening, not just feeling, but speaking, as one who believes. Because the faith that moves heaven is not the one that merely waits, but the one that manifests itself in action. The faith that breaks down walls is not silent. It speaks, declares, takes possession. And right now, I am calling you to this, so that you may declare not with fear, not with doubt, not with an insecure soul, but with conviction of those who recognize the time, heard the promise, discerned the call, and decided to no longer postpone what I have prepared. Your words have more power than you realize. Often what stops you from moving forward is not the enemy's strength, but the silence of your own mouth. Because there are times when victory needs to be spoken before it can be seen. Spiritual warfare responds to spiritual commands. And when your words align with my will, they become invisible seeds that bear visible fruit. They are not thrown to the wind. They activate doors, release promises, destroy prisons, break cycles of failure, and accelerate processes that have been stalled for years. And it all starts with a simple yet powerful decision: opening your mouth in faith. Now stop for a moment, take a deep breath, silence the voices of doubt, the painful memories, the traumas that try to trap you in the past. Silence the internal accusations that tell you you're not worthy, that you can't do it, that you've tried before and failed. All of that needs to be silenced now, because I am here. And if you feel my presence, it's because I've opened this prophetic window for you to pass through. Then close your eyes or just focus on me and repeat with your heart surrendered, with your mind aligned with heaven, with your soul firm in what I promised you. Lord, I receive your word. I recognize that this is my time. I will no longer postpone what you have prepared for me. I will no longer allow fear to control my steps. I believe, even without seeing. I declare, even without understanding everything. I position myself now as a son, as an heir, as someone who knows they have been called for such a time as this. Whatever needs to be left behind, I will leave behind. Whatever needs to change, I will change. But I will not lose what is mine. Continue declaring with even more spiritual authority the promise that seemed distant. I receive as a gift today the spiritual window that has been opened. I walk through it with courage. The 7 years the enemy tried to keep me away, I cancel it now in the name of Jesus, because my future will no longer be dominated by delays, broken cycles, or silent fears. My future is in your hands, and I know your hands are faithful. Now, son, stay in this spirit, because when you speak with faith, you activate the invisible world. Heaven moves from acts of faith. Angels respond to spiritual commands, and the enemy loses power before those who stand with authority in my name. Maybe you don't feel anything physically right now. Maybe your surroundings remain the same. But in the spiritual world, something has already moved. A key was turned, a door was unlocked, a decree of delay was torn down. Because I saw your decision, I heard your confession, and more than that, I saw truth in your heart. Son, understand something very serious. The spiritual world doesn't respond to emotions but to authority. Many are moved by words, get goosebumps, cry, but don't take a stand. And so even when touched, they remain trapped in the same cycles. But not you. You've broken free from that now. You've activated a spiritual code that is only accessed by those who believe beyond their feelings. And let me tell you something even more profound. Hell knows what you just did. He knows something has been broken, that the silence has been broken, that you've stopped hiding behind the pain and started using it as fuel to move forward. And that's why I tell you, prepare yourself to withstand the first winds of resistance that may come, because whenever there is a turn, there is also a confrontation. But I am already endowing you with the strength to remain standing. That statement you just made wasn't symbolic. It was strategic. It was like Joshua's trumpet before the walls of Jericho. It was like Moses' staff raised before the sea. It was like Hannah's cry in the temple. It was like David's cry before he felled Goliath. It was like Elijah's prayer before the fire descended. In other words, it's not about pretty words. It's about words of war, and I tell you with love, but also with authority. What I have now released upon you will no longer be stopped, but you must keep going, because today's revelation is just the tip of a process that will accelerate. I will still show you what lies behind your pain. I will still reveal what was hidden. I will still expose the enemy operating in the shadows of your story. But all of this depends on one thing, that you keep going, acting with faith, speaking with authority, moving with courage, and staying with me to the end. Son, you've just changed the spiritual landscape of your life. What was blocked begins to open up. What seemed distant begins to draw near. What seemed impossible begins to take shape. Because now you are under a new atmosphere. And I'll show you, in the next video, how to keep this promise environment activated. I will teach you what needs to be sustained spiritually, so that this cycle is not aborted. I will give you practical guidance, spiritual strategies, and revelations that will sustain what you have just released with your mouth. But now breathe in peace, because heaven has already heard, and the earth has already begun to respond. You are not the same anymore, and you never will be again. Son, before I end this word, I need you to know that I'm not finished speaking to you yet. What I released today was only a part. It was the key, the beginning, the unlocking. But there is something much deeper, more personal, and more sensitive that I couldn't reveal now. And it's not because you're not ready. It's because this next revelation needs to be received with an even more attentive heart, with a mind free from noise, with a soul more aligned with what I'm about to reveal. You've come this far because you were guided. Every second of this video was a step toward the center of what I want to address in you. But what follows isn't just a supplement. It's the continuation of a process that has already begun to transform your spiritual atmosphere. Many stop at the first word, are moved by the initial touch, but don't stay until the end of what I'm building. But you sense there's something more, that there's a deeper layer of understanding, and that what lies behind the pain, the silence, the losses, and the waiting hasn't yet been fully revealed. And you're right to feel that way, because I'm still going to show you the why behind so many what-fors. There's something about your home, about a specific person who lives with you, or who has passed through your life and left marks that you haven't yet fully understood. This person carries a spiritual weight in your history. It could have been someone who hurt you, betrayed you, or abandoned you at a time of extreme vulnerability. Or perhaps it's someone who remains by your side, but with behaviors, words, and attitudes that directly affect your emotional balance and spiritual sensitivity. And what you don't yet know, or haven't clearly perceived, is that there's an invisible influence manifesting through this person, an influence that presents itself as control, as oppression, as discouragement, and that subtly destabilizes you whenever you try to move forward in faith. Have you ever noticed that every time you decide to draw closer to me, something happens to divert you? That whenever you commit to praying more constantly, seeking my presence more, a conflict, a distraction, an agitation arises within your home or within yourself? This is no coincidence. There are spiritual environments constantly influenced by presences that have not yet been confronted in the light of truth. There are invisible pacts, open wounds, emotional breaches that the enemy uses as entry points to undermine your faith and strength. But in the next video, I will show you how to close these doors, how to clearly identify what is draining your spiritual energy, how to shield yourself from influences that come in disguise but carry spiritual intentions of imprisonment. You'll realize that what seemed like mere emotional exhaustion was actually spiritual warfare. That what you called my overly sensitive nature was actually your discernment under attack. That the sudden sadness that came over you out of nowhere, without explanation, was a reflection of the spiritual atmospheres around you. That insomnia, that weight on your shoulders, that lack of strength without a physical cause, were spiritual symptoms of contaminated environments. And understanding this will open your eyes to a new level of vigilance, protection, and authority. But this can only be revealed to those who remain, to those who choose to see through to the end of what heaven began. Therefore, I say to you with love and urgency, don't stop here. Don't let this word slip away like another video you've watched. Don't let the seed I've planted be suffocated by the voices of the world, by the hectic routine, by the daily distractions. You've been called to more. And the continuation of this conversation is where I'll touch on areas you thought were already resolved, but which are still influencing your results and your emotions. Son, I know your silent struggle. I saw the nights you tried to understand why everything was stuck. Why, even with so much faith, things didn't seem to flow. Why, even though you loved me, you felt an inexplicable emptiness. And now I tell you, the emptiness you felt was the space I was preparing for a revelation that will change everything. And this revelation begins in the next video. There I will show you the origin of certain spiritual blocks. I will teach you how to pray specific prayers that untie old knots. I will reveal to you how to reclaim the authority that was stolen through relationships, words, and unconscious pacts. This is the kind of revelation the enemy fears, because when you understand what's behind the quietest battles in your life, you'll stop fighting the wrong way. You'll stop blaming yourself for things that weren't your fault, but rather strategic attacks against your purpose. And most importantly, you'll begin to walk with a clarity that will allow you to recognize the source of storms before they affect you. Son, there's something that needs to be pulled out, a root that's still hidden, but it's draining your spiritual vitality. And I'll show you where it is, but you must keep going, because there are wars that are only won by those who listen to the end. There are doors that only open to those who choose to remain. And there are promises that are only fulfilled after you understand the full revelation. So come with me. Heaven didn't bring you here by chance. The conversation I began in this video is just the beginning of a deeper liberation. And I want you to be present when the veil is torn, when what was hidden comes to light, when the truth sets your spirit free. Click on the next video, because what I'm about to reveal will transform the way you pray, fight, and live. Son, you have come this far because your spirit felt that I was speaking to you. And I want you to know that this in itself, it is already a sign that something has started to change. Not everyone can stay until the end when the sky begins to speak. Not everyone has the courage to face the truth that sets free, even when it touches old wounds. But you stayed, you listened, you received, and because of that, I am blessing you now. I bless you with clarity in the coming days. May your mind be free of all confusion. May your spiritual eyes be opened to see what once seemed only chaos. I declare upon you a new season of discernment, in which you will no longer be deceived by external voices, nor by sabotaging thoughts that always keep you stuck in the same place. You will move on, you will break through, and you will testify. Receive my embrace now, not as a symbolic act, but as a living reality. I am near, I am with you, and even when you feel alone, remember, my presence does not depend on what you feel. It depends on what I promised, and I promise to be with you until the end. Not one of your tears was wasted. Not one of your cries was ignored. Not one day of pain was in vain. Everything was recorded. Everything will be restored. And everything will work together for the greater purpose I have prepared for you. From today on, walk as one who carries a living promise. Speak as one who knows heaven hears him. Pray as one who has a Father who answers. And wait. as one who already knows that the time of waiting is turning into the time of harvest. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to this channel, because if this word touched you, what will come in the next videos will be even deeper. Heaven wants to keep speaking to you, but you need to be here to hear it. Activate the bell, leave your comment, share this message with someone who is also on the verge of a miracle. Because when you share a word from heaven, you sow restoration in someone's life and reap a response in your own.